Welcome back to the discussion Preparing for the Future of Contracting, sponsored by NCMA on Federal News Network. My guest today is Craig Conrad, Chief Executive Officer at the National Contract Management Association. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy. The National Contract Management Association white paper, Preparing for the Future of Contracting, draws on interviews with senior professional government contracting leaders to paint a challenging picture of the near future for contracting professionals. Technology will take over more and more of the mundane tasks. They will be expected to take more risks as well. Increasingly, their role will move away from enforcing acquisition regulations towards consulting with shareholders and crafting proposed solutions to their customers' problems. They will need to develop and hone data analytics skills, dive much more deeply into the workings of the markets and suppliers they buy from, and learn a whole new set of contracting methods outside of the federal acquisition regulation. Craig, CEO of the association, is here with me, sharing what the new paper says is in store for contracting pros. Craig, paint a picture for me, if you will, of how the contracting workforce can expect their work lives will change over the next 5 years or so.
Well, John, thank you again for having me. One of the things that interviews with senior procurement leaders showed was that they are unanimous in the belief that the workforce will have to acquire new skills. Leaders expect their staff to shift, as you said earlier on, for that ratio from purely technical and process-oriented, low value-added things to really those soft skills that include critical thinking, decision-making, problem-solving, communication, and collaboration. Those are higher value adds to serving the mission. As one interviewee told us, the skill ratio used to be 80 to 90% technical and 10 to 20% of those soft skills. But going forward, that shift is certainly going to be 50-50 to advance one's career. Those senior procurement executives said that contracting professionals performing mostly technical work will need to skill up in soft skills and business acumen, or eventually they risk being placed by those RPAs. Those already in more strategic roles will need to innovate and may need to do some reskilling to be able to do that. We expect these adjustments will particularly challenge those who are really in the second half of their careers.
Now, you also mentioned greater reliance on data going forward. Will all contracting professionals have to become data scientists now?
Well, John, maybe not complete
Let's
data
hope
science.
not.
Yeah, hopefully not. But surely they will need to become more adept with techniques of data analysis to apply to that spending data, the pricing trends, the information that's coming out of the federal procurement data system, as well as their own agency contract and financial systems. Here's how one of our leaders put it. Our contracting professionals will have to lead the way in innovating and strategic procurement planning based on data analytics and comprehensive market intelligence. That really underscores the point rather well.
Craig, what do contract management leaders suggest their staff members do to carry out all this reskilling?
Well, a number of things, John. For one, the interviewees agreed that the move toward data analysis, along with rapid change in the environment and in contracting and the advent of incoming generation of just-in-time learners, mean that one-size-fits-all training for the contracting profession must end. Instead, they are examining opportunities to deliver training on the spot when the contracting staff member needs it. There's a lot of solve that needs to be done when you're right in front of a sticky problem and you can't rely on something you learned 20 years ago. There's also other methods that are coming forward, like microlearning, certainly on-the-job training, that cookbook method. How do I get something to me in the moment? There's also new platforms for peer-to-peer learning. You're someone down the road in another agency may have already solved it. And that old model of going back to mentoring is getting refreshed and updated on new platforms. There's things like the DITAP, the Digital IT Acquisition Professional Training for contract managers. Those are really establishing mentor program requirements and many of the other skill sets that are beyond the technical. The Air Force is even assigning contract managers to work at venture capital firms. Put them in the other side of the equation to fully understand the whole business and life cycle for innovation. That is really all capped off with working with other universities, working outside of the internal government infrastructure to instill sharp business-minded thinking.
I'd like to thank today's guests, Craig Conrad, Chief Executive Officer at the National Contract Management Association. I'm your moderator, John Gilroy, and you're listening to Federal News Network. For more on this discussion, visit federalnewsnetwork.com and search NCMA.